nebulae sunset and horizon. Sad to see our supposed to see. Gentle and hard as big as the ocean. Reach out a hand without the shadow wall.
こら笑うな。これからローハンの訓練を行います。
今日はご飯何を食べますか？
よう元気か？顔が見られて嬉しいぜ。
今示された獅子よ、あだなく敵に裁きの炎を。
アリエススターライト。
俺は突き進むぜ。カオスの王道よ、邪魔をするんじゃねえ。
Hey there! Last time, my voice was so slow I had to edit the speed. I'm still figuring out my suitable natural voice, so I'll try to talk faster here. Anyways, so you've decided to give Idola Phantasy Star Saga a go. And the moment you start playing, before the game actually explains anything to you, they suddenly caught you off guard and slaps you with probably one of the most important decisions you're forced to choose. Which 5-star starter unit should I entrust my early game to for the rest of my game life? Well, unless their banner comes out, which is kinda rare, or you go whale commando mode to hog all 3 of them from the normal banner. Who will it be? Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur? Before we go into details, here's a brief description for each of them from left to right using Pokemon terms and hope it's easier for you to understand. Rosalinde, just like Darkness, is a dragon that will gladly take any hits for your team. But unlike Darkness, she doesn't beg for more torture. Instead, she actually hits them back, making sure they don't mess with her again. And her Chaos EB sets everyone to flame. Stella is a shy introvert waifu turtle who everyone cherishes for life. And in return, every time this turtle unleashes her AoE Holy Water EB, she will heal the team as a present of gratitude for your love and care towards her. Jasper is a dinosaur who can go berserk like a T-Rex tearing all of Jurassic Park with only his skills and teeth without the help of his EB. Alright then, with that out of the way, this video will cover 4 things for our 3 beloved Pokemons. First, we're going to see their roles and skills in battle, including their destiny divergences, more on that later. The second one, we're going to see how well they do against Idola Battles. The third, we're going to see how well they do as champions in the PvP arena. And finally, for today's finale encore, we're going to see them in hard mode action. And now, without further ado, let's jump right into the first part, talking about their purpose in life.
Anarchy. Everyone wants to be me.
You need to know about Destiny Divergence first. Each unit has 2 factions you can choose once you've maxed out their love points and go through multiple dates with them in the side story. These factions can be Law Chaos, Neutral Neutral, Neutral Chaos, or however the devs want to mix them in the future. These 2 Destiny Divergences are based off whether they choose to succumb to their historical fate or use the power of free will to make a new legend story. There are 3 types of units when it comes to Destiny Divergences. The first one are those whose Divergences does pretty much the same. So it all comes down to which appearance you like the most. It doesn't really matter. The second one are those whose true power can truly be awakened by choosing a certain faction. And finally, there are those who has totally different useful roles on both factions, meaning you can switch either side freely depending on what strategy you need on the battle. Okay, now we continue to each of the units, starting off with our dragon. From left to right, Rosalinde is a supporter, defender, and attacker. Her first skill in both Law and Chaos protects her team from single target attackers while counter-attacking at the same time. In her Law form, her second skill is somewhat like Darkness Masochism, where she needs to get hurt in order to deal a stronger blow. Meanwhile, her EB is pretty much a simple single target hit, but since she's a defender, I wouldn't recommend her as your main attacker because her attack stat is quite low. Meanwhile, in her Chaos form, her second skill is a simple AoE attack that lowers enemy defense, and her Elemental Blast very much lives up to her role as an attacker, so it's worth to spam it. So in short, you can either make use of her Night Stance effectively in her Law form, or you can just EB spam her Chaos form. Right then, onto our beloved turtle. From left to right, Stella is a speedster, defender, and supporter. But in all honesty, you can see all her forms as an attacker who has support kit. Her first skill in both Law and Chaos form can hit twice as powerful if her elemental value is 5 or more. Her Law's second skill gives one ally a major attack and defense boost, but in reality it looks like one of her attack boosts is actually a status resistance boost, but I don't know. Her Chaos second skill is a simple AoE attack that has 25% chance to stop enemy from getting their EB charged up. Her EB in both Law and Chaos form can deal AoE damage that will also gives healing effect. In short, our turtle is simple yet lovable, relaxing our soul as we see her living joyfully in the calm sea, unlike the terror that is happening on ground as we speak. From left to right, Jasper is a speedster, attacker, and a breaker. For your information, attackers, breakers, and critters can all be seen the same. They deal big damage. Attackers straight up rely on high attack stats. Breakers rely on hitting enemies' elemental weaknesses, while critters rely on their crit rates. Jasper's first skill in both Law and Chaos form creates a shadow clone of himself to double all of his attacks. His second skill fundamentally does the same thing for both Law and Chaos. It's a random hit skill, so the lesser enemy in the field, the better. It deals a ton of damage. The only difference between Law and Chaos is how he gets that extra DPS from his second skill. In his Law form, he relies on Masochism. In Chaos, he'll automatically get an extra hit, which if in Clone Jutsu mode means 2 extra hits, making it a total of 6 hits max. For his EB, well, details, just consider his EB as a single target nuke bomb. In short, Jasper is a berserker who deals the most damage out of the 3, but you really need support units to make this T-Rex wreak havoc effectively. Speaking of T-Rex, this game actually offers a game mode where tiny humans like us fight giant beasts. We call that the Idola Battle. There are 2 things you need to know about Idola Battles. 1. Your turns are limited. 2. That means you have to deal as much damage as possible, and the only way to do that is to spam your EB. To do that, you're going to need elemental units. In Rosalinde's case, using her Law form is almost completely useless because her single target EB doesn't really do much damage, and if you rely on her Night Stance unwisely, you might as well end up killing her first because Idola doesn't hold back towards girls. So if you're gonna use Rosalinde, you can use her Chaos form, pair her up with an Elementor, and smash that EB button as soon as it glows. Now ideally, your Chaos team would have Seven as the Elementor, Stella Memories to reduce your EB cost, Rosalinde as your DPS, and a healer, preferably Astria EX because she gives a lot of support. In Stella's case, it's up to you whether you want to set her on your Law team or Chaos team because her attack stat isn't much different between the 2 factions. But if you have one OP water DPS unit and some certain supporters, you can pull it off with only using your Law team. With the proper Law team, you can attack and defend against Idola, without ever changing to Chaos Team. Ideally, you want to have another water DPS unit to deal with the main damages, meanwhile Stella being there to buff that DPS unit. But if you don't have another good water DPS unit, it's totally okay. Stella can be the DPS herself if she wants to. The remaining slot will go to support units. In my case of supporter units, I have Gerda Christmas version to charge up my EB and, just in case I screwed up, thus needing her one-time hit AoE invincibility shield. Then I also have Estria EX, a meta top tier unit that can heal, charge EB, boost attack, prolong buff, and give AoE guts to the whole team. Heck, that's why I even put her in my anti-Idola fire team even though she's a water team going against wind enemies. In Jasper's case, he's not really suitable for EB spamming, thus you gotta let other DPS unit handle that department. Jasper, both in his Law and Chaos form, is there only for one and only one thing: ultimate punishment. You see, when you have one of the strongest DPS skill units in the entire game and an Idola who is down on its feet, which costs double damage taken from us, you get something like this. Now, I would say Jasper shines most in his Chaos form because it's not easy to get his health down to 50% if you rely on his Massachusetts extra DPS. That's RNG, baby. I would prefer going with the guaranteed option. Now, before we see our heroes in the ENCORE finale hard mode action, let's see how well they do as champions in the balanced PvP arena. There's only one rule in Arena: kill or get killed. It's the epiphany of Hunger Games all over, but this time you're not risking your life trying to be the first man who gets the weapon in the middle. Oh no, this time you're competing on who gets their EB charged up first. Given how Law boasts their defensive playstyle while Chaos boasts their offensive playstyle, usually you want to send your Chaos team first to quickly wipe the enemy out, to then reverse rush into your Law team so you can defend against the enemy's charged EB. But if you insist trying to win with only the Law team, you can check my Arena video in the top right corner of your screen. It's totally possible. In Rosalinde's case, this is where her nightstands can truly shine. There are moments where her counterattack turned the tide of the battle due to the sheer damage it delivers upon all the single target units. Now, because AoE is much more terrorizing in Arena, her Law form doesn't give much help to the battle. So instead, you can use her Chaos form to battle Arena. Her AoE second skill and low cost AoE EB should do the DPS trick, at least way more than her Law counterpart. In Stella's case, it's up to you whether you want to use her Law or Chaos form. The good thing of her Law form is she can buff the attacker and she herself can AoE EB. The good thing of her Chaos form is she can deal extra AoE damage with her second skill. Each strategist to his own playstyle, I guess. Last but not least, in Jasper's case, there's a good chance you can start hoping on his Massachusetts feature, because Arena enemies deal a lot more damage than your typical average monster in Story Quest. Though I would still take the guaranteed option of having that extra 2 hits at my disposal. But, to be honest, I wouldn't recommend him in Arena because overall, his EB is single target focused, while his second skill is probably facing the worst case scenario where all 4 enemies are in the field. Truly, you wanna aim for AoE EB DPS units for Arena battles. Alright, I hope that covers enough info to aid in your fatal conquest of making a decision between these 3 starter units. Though I bet the majority of Idola community will recommend Stella because she's the most balanced attacker supporter for early game. Meanwhile, Rosa is pretty much easily replaceable by other fire units, and Jasper needs a lot of building and support in order to truly shine in battle. But before the show ends, what better way to further know the units than to directly see them in action? And so I present to you today's final act, the showcase. Enjoy!